Hey, what's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to ATI Auto Business. It's Friday, it's noon, it's time for Cars on the Move, and we have that special monthly installment, The Melting Block of Ice, with Tim Scoutelas. We have a special guest, Paul Machin from Black Book, joining us. What I want you to do is go ahead and do me a favor. Please do leave a like, click share, click copy, grab the YouTube link, click plus save, watch it later, get the podcast, jump into the live chat, jump into the YouTube comments. Don't worry, that's okay. We know that there's a lot to talk about. It's beyond transportation at this point. It's the automotive industry. It's what's happening in the used car market, what's happening in the marketplace. There's too many factors. I'm going to jump in a little bit into industry news as I bring in the guests. Let's do this. Let's bring in the guests first. Guys, can you see me and hear me okay?
Ready to roll.
Ready to
Got
go.
you here. Mic check, mic check.
1, 2, 3.
This is my favorite show every month, by the way, Tim.
Well,
I really appreciate you taking the time. I know
it's
you're busy.
my favorite 30 minutes of the month as well.
There you go.
Don't tell my wife that though.
No, I was thinking.
Oh, Jay. It's a family
Jay,
show.
No, I was really thinking about you a lot this week because you're one of those guys that are just always busy, always going, boots on the ground. And it's like, I really just enjoy the 30-minute update once a month. I know you're doing the same thing we're doing, which is busting your ear in to make things happen. So really do want to say thank you. And then thank you, Paul, as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, listen, this guy, so Paul and I haven't connected in a while. I've been so busy, and we talked, I think it was maybe last week or the week before, and I was like, man, I miss talking to Paul. So I'm glad we could get to have a follow-up of our conversation we were having on the phone and with you guys, because there's a lot of good stuff we were talking about.
Yeah. And we love that this platform has become that networking space for some folks that lose contact. It's become that for us as well. Half the time, me and Ty have live meetings because we're too darn busy to talk otherwise. I want to do this. I'm going to jump into, I'm going to do my little industry news dance, and I'm going to try and make it as fast as possible. Ready? Okay, it's the Melting Block of Ice. It's Friday. We're live with Tim Scoutelas. We got Paul Machin as our special guest. Okay, so we had December and September last Friday with Jason Rice of Lot Pop. We had Digital Dealer Energy Tuesday night because that's coming up in a couple weeks. Be sure to check out Digital Dealer. Learn the okay. So it's at the Mirage in Vegas, and then once you get there, you've got your exhibitor floor. And Tuesday night, we were lucky. We had Rapid Recon, Lot Pop, Pre-Owned Auto Logistics, McAllister's Transportation Group. Just a handful of exhibitors that are going to be at Digital Dealer. Ty likes to point out how the dealers provide such a big part and contribution to the economy, and I guess that's lost on some of... Who's this information lost on, Ty?
Oh, man. a
Where
lot
do we
of
start?
people.
Yeah, all right, so we'll keep going.
Want to start?
Yeah, I don't know how to tackle that.
Vendors. Right. We could do vendors. We could say vendors. Okay.
All right, now, we know why some OEMs are jumping out of their shoes because they keep seeing headlines like this. Tesla is putting on the gas. It's not going to stop. And we talk about the front of the store, the back of the store. We had the auto auction experience 2 weeks ago. You got to check that out with Kelly Bianchi. We talk about the entire auto transport ecosystem. Well, it's beyond auto transport at this point. Always be closing, but we don't have any cars. Also, we just as a reminder, we had Lot Pop. He likes to talk about if you have a car inventory problem, Lot Pop wants to help you. He is now a vendor partner with Ford Direct Marketplace. Ask Jason Rice about it. Also, used car strategies in Madrid. It's gone beyond the USA. Again, a Digital Dealer. Don't forget, Jason Rice speaks at Digital Dealer Thursday, October 13th. Mm-hmm. Ford gave dealers 6 weeks to decide if they want to continue selling EVs. I think it's 5 weeks plus at this point. What is it like to stare at that hourglass in the morning? Also, GMC closes reservations for Hummer EV and SUV until it can meet demand. You've got Ford stock plummeting $1 billion. Suppliers hiking charges for all automakers. Record shipping costs. Used car prices could indicate what's next for inflation. Charging EVs overnight could get more expensive. Window stickers from Rapid Recon to help you see the value of the reconditioning in your used car vehicle purchase. What about the rail strike? We don't even know. Is it happening? Not sure. What would that mean? And by the way, Jonathan Smoke just released 10 remarketing predictions for 2022. He gave his own scorecard. He's got a B- of his 10 predictions. We can dive further into that. Okay. So.
Whoa!
That was quick.
Whoa! Ay, ay, ay.
Good luck keeping up with that.
Hold on, I need to get my ticket pad. Sir, you know how fast you're going there.
Where do we start, Jay?
I want to start with Paul. Why is
Speed
Paul
round.
here today?
Yeah.
That's what I want to start with.
Good
Paul,
question.
why are you here today?
Big topic that we've been discussing actually for quite a while, the perfect storm, right? If these things happen, if each one of these individual storms starts to converge, we're going to have a perfect storm. And we're starting to see that. And it's starting with our affordability crisis we have. And I talked about that about a couple weeks ago, and you guys said, we got to talk about that.
Affordability crisis. All right. There we go. Let's hear about it. I'm serious. I'm really, really excited to hear about it. It sounds dramatic.
It can be if you don't do anything about it, right?
Right.
If you understand how it's happening, why it's happening, and all the environmental factors that are a part of it, then the dealer community and our SaaS partners and even our transportation and logistic partners, we can all get in front of it and actually kind of control the spigot of the sales that will be needed to be able to offset the affordability crisis we're heading into. So I start with the very first domino to fall, which will be the mortgage industry, right? And the second one is the rental industry. We are coming off the cusp of all-time highs for homes, mortgages on homes. You know, it used to be just a few short weeks ago, you go place a bid on a house and there were 70 other bids you're competing against. Now it's trickled down to 2 or 3 or just a handful to be able to get those. And then the approvals are not as easy to get anymore. They have pulled back. But the real big factor that I've focused on is what is the realistic income in America today, right? And until I actually did the research, I was kind of stunned when I found out. Thought it was just a little bit higher. It's actually, let's just say to keep the numbers even, $72,000 annually a year for the average household. I got that data from the U.S. Census Bureau and the Center for Housing Authority. So $72,000 is the average annual income. In the mortgage banking space, there's a key word called DTI, similar to what you and I know, Tim, DTI for financing a car. It's called DTI for a mortgage payment. The ideal percentage for a mortgage payment against your monthly income, which if you're $72,000 a year, that's $6,000 a month, you're 28% is what they want your debt to income ratio to be for the mortgage payment, including your mortgage insurance, your HOA, and your property taxes. So that's what they consider your DTI for the mortgage payment.
$1,600.
What's that again, sir?
$1,700, right?
Right. Yeah, on a $6,000 mortgage, right? But the actual mortgage payment today is $2,250.
Right.
Right.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
So we're way over that. Get another number, and you say, okay, how can we stretch it? Just like in the car business, right? We get a payment call, but, we let the customer go 15, 20, 30 bucks more. We know that we can squeeze that out, right? So that number is 38% all in. That includes the mortgage, all of the debt the consumer has in total. Right now, we're at 36%. I'm sorry, it's 36%, not 30%. We're at 36%, actually 36.2% of back end total payment to income for a mortgage. Just the mortgage payment, not including the car payment, the credit card, student loans, or any other debt they may have, right? So when you take a look, okay, we're at $2,250 against $6,000 a month, 36% of their money's just on the mortgage payment. Now, that's maxing out. Now you got to figure out what the car payment is. We already know the average car payment is $515 for a used vehicle at the end of Q2. figure $300 a month for gas before price increases on gas, and you figure $200 for insurance. You're $1,000 added on top of the mortgage payment. What does that put you at? Close to 55, 60% of your overall take-home pay. Because remember, we said 6,000 is your gross. We're talking about take-home pay now. You know, so you start to see how that affordability crisis is starting to kick in. Step 3 of how did we get here on the automotive finance side is, if you guys remember, I started talking about programs. They were great and needed when they happened, but we had to put plans in place to prepare for the repercussions, and we're starting to experience those today. So during the pandemic, we had the mortgage foreclosure, we had the rental forbearance, we had the credit card forbearance, we had the auto loan forbearance, we had any kind of forbearance for all kinds of loans. Well, it did not matter how bad your credit was or how delinquent you were going into the program, the slate was wiped clean, completely clean. So if you were a 550 and you were getting ready to foreclose on everything, you know, bankruptcy and everything, and you entered into these programs, you came out of this at a 700 beacon, 650 beacon, whatever it was. And during 2021, lenders were making approvals to consumers who were in those positions prior to the pandemic, but the programs helped them clean the slate and reset everything, and they got loans. And
all right, so hold on a second. So basically, what you're saying is people who had bad credit, right, historically got forgiven or money to pay off, but they reset their credit score.
Correct. And it's a false credit score.
That was my point, right? It's a false credit score.
Right.
I always think of The Big Short again.
Right. It's a false flag. It's a false flag on credit report. So lenders, they're looking at this portfolio of business that they originally thought was good quality business because they based it on a credit report and a credit score, right? They didn't take into anything else into consideration. Well, because they were not allowed to ask, well, are you in a mortgage forbearance program? Are you in a rent forgiveness program? Are you delayed on your car payment? They were not allowed to ask that, nor were they allowed to report it. So
are you predicting, like, I'm just going to tell you, I don't know. So from a car dealer perspective, they're not feeling a lot of pain. While the sales are down, grosses are still higher than they historically have been, right? Business is going. Parts are hard to get a hold of, but service business is great, you know. But you're predicting that this is going to get worse, and that's what I'm hearing.
Right. Okay. It's going to get worse. We're just beginning to see it. There's not much more I don't think the government can provide to help kick the can down the road further. Right. They've already committed to increasing interest rates.
Right.
And so in order for, if interest rates go up, then the dealer community has to discount their cars to be able to make the payments affordable or extend the term. So I took a look at that. 28% of all loans in Q2 of this year are 73 to 84 months payment right now on a used car.
Yeah, that's a long time, isn't it?
You said something that I don't wear the tinfoil hat all the time, Ty, but this idea what you said about government help. I mean, we knew at some point, right? You can't postpone forever.
Right. I took a look at another stat that I talked about all this week. In 2019, the average federal student loan was 10% delinquent. Right. By in 2021 and today, today, 0 delinquencies.
Yeah.
Did that happen because people improved their credit behavior and became responsible to pay their debt? Or was their debt and slate reset and wiped clean?
Yeah.
I'm going B.
And that's just one example.
B.
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 So we were talking about, how, that's why I asked you, Tim, is what are you seeing and hearing from because you're boots on the ground. You're in the stores. You got a team in the stores between Max Digital and ACV auctions. Are you hearing dealers, I can't get the cars I need to fit the pricing and the payments, but I can buy them from directly from the customer and better fit those pricing and payments. Are you getting that?
Yeah. So historically, right, September is always the toughest month on the calendar out of the 12. And so what I saw was a lot of guys really were really going to try and retail. That's the world I live in. There's not, and we're seeing it. The wholesale volumes are way down at the auction, right, Ty? There's not that many cars running.
Yeah.
And the cars that are running aren't very nice. Right.
Well, and the floors are high.
Right.
Because so there's no sales, a lot of no sales. Okay, keep going.
Sale rate, right. Sale rates, according to Black Book, are back to January 2021, right? Is that what it was?
56%.
Yeah, and that's, I think, aggressive.
Was that 68 or 58? I missed that.
56% this week.
56% sale rate. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 1 out of 2, which you want 2 out of 3, right? I think is what the auctions would prefer. So everybody's trying to retail, which is good. I mean, that's what they want us. They got to keep the dealership pumping, right? There's a lot of benefits to even retailing for $2,000-$3,000 loss is way better than taking it to the auction for the ultimate give back. But what I have seen is guys have been scared to get into purchase cars because this is the time of year where it's like trying to catch a falling knife. Right? It's like, I got just a small part of that pool to grab onto.
Catching the falling knife?
Yeah,
that is awesome, man.
Do we rename this show? Catch the falling knife?
Dude, that's going to be the Q4 update of Melting Block of Ice. Catch the falling knife, dude. I love it.
Right. So until stuff settles down, now traditionally this time of year, dealers are excited about new car inventory coming in that will generate some excitement, some traffic to the dealership, incentives on the older, the previous years. But that stuff hasn't happened. There's no new car inventory. The incentives, unless you're at Stellantis, aren't really out there. So it's just kind of a weird year.
Here, let me add a little more weird to it, Tim. What you just said, this is weird. I've done this for 22 years now. I got a call from a GM dealer out in nowhere, Kansas. Ty, can you go to the railhead in Kansas City and grab my new GMs? I said, whoa, what are you talking? I can't do that. They'll shoot you. If you're not a union guy and you go in there to pick up new cars, they'll shoot you, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, the GM gave us dealers the green light. Now, he's the only one I've talked to. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but they're telling him, you go get your own car. So just time out. All right. What happened? Somebody already has that contract. Somebody's been doing that job for a long time. That somebody is usually a union group of transporters, truck drivers, right? They work hard to go get that contract. They get that contract. How come they're not delivering them?
Right.
What's their problem? Do they have personnel, short manpower problem? Do they have equipment problem? They can't find parts? I don't know what the problem is, but I've never heard anybody say that. So now, okay, back to what you guys are saying. If I'm a dealer and I know I can go get my cars and I'm going to maybe create some kind of excitement, I'm going to make that relationship with that carrier guy to go hurry up and get those cars to maybe avoid some of this affordability crisis like Tim's talking about. Okay, sorry, back to you, Tim.
I'm curious. So what is the holdback? Why these transporters can't grab the new cars? I've not heard that.
Well, the independent guys, so I'm an independent guy. I just haul used cars from auction to dealer and dealer to auction. That's all I know. Well, traditionally, I've got a new car store that has a used car lot. So I'll be at the new car side talking to the GM. Hey, how's it going on the new sales? Oh, it's great. Love life. Look at all of our new cars. You go in today, Tim can tell you this. You go into the dealership, like a Toyota, a Nissan, one of those guys. Hey, where are all the new cars? Is that right, Tim?
Yeah, right. Well, I've got new cars. Let me show you what we got coming in right here on the computer. What do you want to buy?
A lot, though.
And the part that really bothers me about this, I think we're all being conditioned to wait, right? And I'm okay with that. But you're talking about an industry that I know from the perspective of, Ty, I bought it 30 minutes ago. Why isn't it at my lot? Yeah. And that to me always said, we sell off impulse buyers. I mean, that impulse buying is our favorite. If I've got it on the lot, the chances of me selling it to you right now go up. I don't know. You guys are the car guys. How much does it increase if I've got one sitting here? I don't have anything. I got a picture on a screen.
Yeah, well, the days of going to the dealership after dinner and coming home with a new car are over. It's
I know.
likely, yeah,
And
it's
to me,
likely.
that's brutal for you guys. How do you deal with that?
I don't. Well, it depends who you ask.
Right.
It depends who you ask. And
Okay, so I go straight to money, right? So that means you're not the dealer who usually has 100 of Toyotas sitting on the lot. They're not there, so he's not having to pay the costs to have them sit on the lot.
Right.
Right.
So there's the benefit. Okay, that makes sense.
No, so
All right.
the floor plan expense is way down. He can actually argue that his personnel expense could be down, right?
Yeah.
His advertising expense is down.
Yeah.
Right.
So back to your question, as an independent guy, we don't have the contract. You have to be a certain size. You have to be a certain weight. You have to be in business so long to even get into the bidding process, right?
Yeah.
Then you have to know the lane. Then you have to know the number. I mean, there's a lot to it that I never wanted to mess with because I always felt like the OEMs are always out to try to make money off the transport guy by damages, right? I had a taste of that 2 or 3 times, and I'm done with it. I don't play that game. I'll haul your used car that we all know has a scratch and a dent, and we'll work it out. On your new car, there's no working it out. You just pay whatever they tell you to pay. So I don't need that. So traditionally what's happened is the new car contracts go to the big boys, what we call, these guys 100+ trucks up to maybe 5,000 trucks. They go in, this is their playground, they know it. Now we might get a taste of it because of what they call spot market or hot shot, which is we bid at 100,000 cars. They somehow dumped out at 200,000. We can't move them all. Let's call Ty and his buddies. We'll bring them as the subs under us. So you might get to play with it that way. But just what I've heard from my dealer in Nowhere, Kansas, it really sounds to me like this is unprecedented. And I've personally never heard it. Given that option to the dealer, that's a pretty big deal.
Well, you put that back in the dealer. If the dealer wants to grab the inventory, he can pay to go get it, and he'll contract with the independent who will deliver at the time he wants it. That just shows that the creativity of the dealer community. That I believe the OEs are recognizing that, and the entrepreneurship and say, well, let's give it back to the dealer. Let the dealer deal with the union then, if they want to be the ones instead of us.
Now, all right, do you think, I'm going to go, this is conspiracy theory here, but do you think, Paul, that this is the OEM's attempt at just, really giving the dealer another hurdle to get the cars to their shop so that the customer has to come to them?
It might be. I mean, it's only one location that we know of.
Yeah. We've
right
talked
now.
about that a bunch, right? The OEMs would, I think there's a love-hate with them and the franchise owners.
Well, there is, and then you start talking about the whole EV thing, right? So we all know what Farley's coming out. You got 6 weeks. Jay just put it up there. Yeah. Well, so this comes up in the conversation. I'm like, what are you hearing on the EVs? This guy blew apart. I mean, everybody knows how I feel about EV, right? I hope you know how I feel about it. Good luck.
Love it.
This guy starts telling me some of the stuff that they're basically doing the same thing that Ford's doing. There's heat being put on these dealers. Get on board or get out. We'll buy your sign. Have you guys heard this?
And the joke, the punchline is nothing else will be quick. Not getting all your infrastructure to charge, not getting all your inventory, not getting your batteries pulled out of the mines that take 10 years to set up in America. I mean, on and on.
I disagree. It's short-term problems. Long-term.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
I feel like long-term, there will be plenty of EVs, right? Well, there will be plenty of charging stations. Now, it's going to be a while.
Right.
Wait a minute. You just said it wouldn't be a while.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
So I think it'll be 2027 maybe 2028 before you can go around and see like EV charging stations. But like I listen to people talk about EVs and they're coming like it's next year. I think
Right.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
it's not next year.
I'm
It's not the year after.
because there are now initiatives to like let's have all these EV panels. Why?
Yeah, it's not even right.
What are you doing?
Right. But when they can, when we have the infrastructure, which it's going to be 7 to 10 years,
And
there'll be plenty of them.
yeah, and there are creative entrepreneurs. There are some entrepreneurs out there that are figuring out ways to go to existing, mom and pop gas stations and say, I can put this cube van permanently here, and you can basically charge to fill up your EVs here as a franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I've got 2 partners that are doing that now. They're in development. It's pretty cool.
I think we've this is really way off, but like we are in a time, there are so many small little businesses running around, guys starting businesses on their iPhones or up in their game room, right? That we're not getting a chance to start up because of kind of the interest rates and the results of the pandemic. But when we come out of this, there are going to be so many great ideas and a race to produce everything, right? There'll be plenty of chips, there'll be batteries, there'll be things that test the batteries. But it's going to be a little bumpy to get there. There's still plenty of combustion. We got to deal with the combustion problem. I like talking about this problem with the guys going to pick up the cars. That's like a leading indicator of, I think, what.
And that's what we're talking about. Is it? Because Ty and I, we go round and round a little bit. I agree with planning and discussing everything. But what isn't being discussed is, well, it is on ATI, especially Tuesday night. Tuesday night show is everybody's carrier concerns. That is what we need to be talking about.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Not how are you going to fix that charger on your truck in 20 years. We can get there.
Right. Don't worry about that. We got problems we got to deal with today. For sure.
Well, right. And that goes back to the Paul's affordability crisis, because, I say this story more than once on this show. I was at the IARA in Nashville, Tennessee, maybe a month or so ago. I got somehow slipped into a committee meeting that I'm not a part of, and they're talking about what to do with their fleet lease, where are they going to go, blah, blah, on this. And then they want to talk about EV. How are we going to transport EVs? I said, time out. Before we can talk about EVs, I think you have a bigger problem you're not aware of. And everybody's like, what's that? Do you know that we're losing carriers every day by the hundreds? Do you know that the carrier bay, the guy that you count on to pick up your stuff so you can get it to the auction so you can get your money back of that asset that you want so bad, that you call and yell at us about because it's taking an extra 2 days versus 3 to get it there, those guys are gone. You need to pay attention. Stop the EV talk a minute. What are you going to do when you have $1 million worth of cars at some repo yard down in nowhere, Arkansas, and you're trying to get them to the auction so you can get your money back? Tell me how you're going to deal with that first. Because that's a real problem.
And, by the way, arguing over that $20 you're part of the problem. Okay? So stop arguing over $20 with the guy that's going to move your inventory. Stop.
So I think back to your affordability crisis, and as you're talking about this, I'm like, wait a minute, this is an automotive show. We're talking about mortgage and credit card debt. Pay attention to what Paul's saying. That's why. Go ahead, Paul.
I said it's a domino effect, right? It will end up happening. And how dealers can best prepare is to go after that driveway buy that we've been talking about since day one on this show, that I've shared with you. The very first show we did, I said it's in the driveway. The future of our success for the next 5 years is coming from the driveway.
Yeah.
When
you say that, I always think about, okay, well, why is he saying that? Well, number one, Paul, tell me if I'm wrong. Number one, why would you tell a dealer, hey, go to the driveway? So Ty, transport guy, here's what Ty thinks. You save money on transportation, you save money on the auction buy fee, and you might even save some money in the recon process. So go ahead, am I right or wrong?
No, that's a part of it, but the biggest part is the availability of the inbound pre-owned inventory for us to purchase for the next 4 years. we're finishing our third year in a row of new car sales that is not enough to supply the demand for the 0 to 3-year-old inventory for the next 2 years.
Right. So the campaign slogan on the local car dealership, the commercial should say, "Hey, if you're about ready to get your car repoed, call me first."
Right.
Is that right?
It should be. It's a great way to save a customer.
It's 2022. Can you talk like that? I don't know.
Hey, I got a great commercial idea. I'll be the guy on the commercial too. Are you about ready to get your car repoed? Come on down.
Oh, I like that. Do the Kung Fu thing. That's good. Kung Fu,
like
yeah.
I actually recommend it as a community service. We're helping members in our community, with their financial situations.
Ty.
Yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead. Well, I'll just say this. Paul, I'm writing down the numbers here. Mortgage 36, car 20. What percentage of that goes to taxes? You know how we don't notice that until that part of the year?
20, 25.
Is it 15? Is it 20?
72,000 a year.
Right?
Yeah.
20?
Well, each state has their, I think there's 14 states that don't have a property tax on vehicles. The rest do. So it's hard to estimate. And each tax
But
rate.
I mean all tax. I mean
Federal
income
and
tax,
state.
gas tax, alcohol tax, walking in the street tax. When you add up all your taxes, isn't that 20% of your take home?
They say you work for the first 6 months of the
There
first
you go.
6.
All right, so it's 50. Thanks, Paul.
First 6 months of your income is to pay taxes.
Anybody able to catch the falling knife?
That's what they say.
Jeez.
Cha-cha. Oh, man.
Guy is.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I'm catching it up. Okay, so Tim, I need the takeaway. What are you seeing? Are you seeing things slowing down in the store? Are you seeing the traffic count slow down?
Listen, there's going to be retail deals to be had.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, right. The dealers are ready to sell. Unfortunately, I work for an auction company. People want to retail. The losses are too much. If you're a consumer, do your homework. Be patient. If you're a dealer, be patient. Watch the market. If you're a transporter, just hang in there, man. These big guys, the inventory is we're going to be swapping a lot of spit. There'll be a lot of inventory just going round and round.
So we're going to go back to Jason Rice. Keep it lean and clean.
Yeah, that's always true, but
Right.
he did a thing a couple of maybe last year about how we just kept seeing the same cars going around and around. We might be in a period of that for a little while.
Right. That's right.
That's
That's
good.
right. Lean and clean, you win either way. Right now, Tim and I were talking about, we've got to sell. The dealers have got to retail out, because what we're expecting is, on the wholesale side, we're losing about a point a week in wholesale value since August 2nd. We're seeing that fall in the wholesale market. But on the retail market, it hasn't come down that much yet, but it takes 6 to 8 weeks on average. So next week, we might see a drop on pricing. It all depends. But this year's been so crazy and so out of norm. We're not, I don't know if we're going to see that normal, 6 to 8 week drop in wholesale retail.
Some people say these are the dog days of the car business.
There you go. Good.
By the way, that dog had a great show about 15 minutes ago. Loving the sunshine.
Look at that dog back there, loving the sunshine. Dog days of fall.
Right.
Hey, buddy.
Days of fall, man.
Hello, buddy. You doing all right?
All right, so we're a few minutes over. That was an amazing show. I want to thank everybody. Tim.
Thank you, guys.
Paul.
Thanks, Tim.
Ty.
Thanks, Paul.
Everyone that jumped in the live
Joe.
chat. Chris, thank you so much for your contribution. We are out of time, but stay in tune with us. Let us know how we can help. If you need something after the fact, you can put it in the YouTube. Chris, put it in the YouTube comments below, will you? After the show, please get a conversation started. Clubhouse isn't the only place where people talk to each other.
Right.
All right, cool. All right,
Yeah.
thanks,
All
guys.
right. Thanks, guys.
Have a
good
great
one.
weekend. Thank you.
Take care.
All right, see ya. All right. I took up all the final thoughts with my jibber jabber, but I gave them, what I did is I'm able to control myself most of the show and let them take the microphone. There was a lot of, actually, I wrote I put on LinkedIn used car strategy Q4 on ATI Auto Business, but we did used and new, and that was really neat. I really like that mix of conversation, talking about market factors, and Paul. I think Paul once again scared us all. Paul scares all. With the mortgage and the car and the taxes, you got any money left for anything? No. See if you can catch the falling knife. What knife are you trying to catch? It's called just staying in, and we didn't even touch on the hurricane, which is good. Thank you, JT. Thank you very much, Chris and Tim and Paul and the whole gang. Again, big round of applause. Really appreciate y'all. Please do join us Tuesday night on ATI, this coming Tuesday night. Everybody's carrier concerns. Okay. For the carriers have concerns. But I'll tell you what, and we touched upon it today, we've been hitting upon it, and we're going to get louder with our megaphone. Everybody should be worried. If things don't change, and now that everybody's in trouble, it's likely things won't change. I'm telling you right now, when things were great a year ago for everybody else, but you still couldn't cough up another chicken nugget for your transport guy, might be too late. I'm telling you, the days of holding out that extra $20 coming to an end. Stop doing it. I've been warning you. Please, please, if you tip the waitress, tip the transport guy. I'm telling you, you're going to get more mileage out of that tip than you thought. So stick around. Join us Tuesday night for fun and games on Everybody's Carrier Concerns. Thank you all so much. Do enjoy the weekend. Get back at it Monday. And if you're in the path of the hurricane, stay safe and hang in there. And we'll see you next week. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.